What's up, everybody? It's your man, Brad Gilmore. Before we start the show today, I want to shout out one of our newest supporters, and that is Audible. Audible.com is home of hundreds of thousands. I'm not even joking, hundreds of thousands of audiobooks, and they want to offer a special trial for you, the listeners of the Schmoedown Rundown. So it'll be a 30-day free trial. You get to download one audiobook that you get to keep forever. So whether you cancel it before the 30 days are up, or if you want to keep the service, it doesn't matter. You get to keep that audiobook forever. And when you get that audiobook and you sign up with audibletrial.com/schmoedown, that's audibletrial.com/schmoedown, what that'll do is that will help us here at the Schmoedown Rundown. It'll put a little extra dinero in our pockets, but we'll use the money for good and not evil. We'll try to do more things like the Rundown Schmoedown. Maybe we need a rematch between me and Paul Wolf. Maybe me and Aaron Turner need to break that tie. Maybe Frank Janisch needs another opportunity to impress. You can do that, and you can help us out with all kinds of production costs. We got to look out for our man, Chris Clark. So if you go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown right now, you will help us out. And look, I'm not just talking just to talk. I'm a user. Look at this. I am a user of Audible. There's Audible. This is some of the books that I'm reading right now. Here are the last 4 books. All right, I finished Crichton. I'm reading We Don't Need Roads, The Making of Back to the Future. No surprise there. Seinfeldia, How a Show About Nothing Became the Biggest Show on Earth by Jennifer Armstrong. Catch Me If You Can by William Abagnale, which I think is a top 3 Spielberg movie. And I'm reading the book. And then The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm reading right now. That's what you're hearing right now when I'm driving around the beautiful state of Texas. So go to audibletrial.com/schmoedown, audibletrial.com/schmoedown. Sign up for free today. Helps you, helps us, helps the world. Let's do it. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. I am Brad Gilmore, and I am joined by Frankie Numbers Janisch. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, but I'm kind of wondering, where on earth can we get some Wild Berries t-shirt? No one ever tells you where you can get this stuff. No one,
They never mention it.
They never mention where you can get these shirts. I just don't know where.
Well, hopefully somebody will tweet us at Schmoedown RD. Let us know where we can get the shirts, because we've been wanting one for years. 5 years we've wanted. Decades. It feels like decades.
It feels like it. You're right.
Well, we have a great show for you today. Also joined by the great, the master of disaster, the man's on the ones and the twos, the wheels of steel, my guy, Chris Clark. Chris, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. This was a very interesting week of matches. The action match in particular was one that you could write home about and say it was amazing. So I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Come on, guys, let's just rock this sucker to the end of time.
Let's rock this sucker, man. Let's rock it to the end of time. You mentioned team action. I am actually adorned in my team action blazer. And wait, hold on. I'm going to put the shades on because today on the show, we have they're a prescription. Today on the show, we have the one and only Team Action will be joining us. Andrew Ghai and Ben Bateman will be on the Schmoedown Rundown here momentarily, and they're going to break down their whole match. I'm excited to talk to these guys. They're two of my favorite guys to watch in the league for a multitude of reasons.
Absolutely.
One being their entertainment value and then their level of play. And their level of play was off the charts this time around. We're going to talk about it, but also there's a little bit of news, and no, the news is not Drizzy Drake firing shots at Pusha T and Kanye West. That's not the news at all. The news isn't that Shaquille O'Neal is going to be on Heated Conversations with Booker T and myself later tonight. Make sure you tune in and check us out on iTunes. That's not the news either. The news is there's some other celebrity match. There's some other celebrity drama that's going to be going down in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, and all we have to go off of, Frank Janisch, is a snapshot from one Christian Harloff. What do you think, Frank? What's going on in this celebrity match?
I don't know. Now I've looked at the picture and I've seen some of the comments.
Because you give me the dirt. You give me the dirt, Frank, and you're always spoiling stuff for me and letting me know things that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
You and Chris Clark. Chris Clark actually might be a little worse than you are, but what do you think? Who do you think the celebrity match
Chris
is?
Clark does it on accident. I do it on purpose.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah. I don't know anything about this celebrity match. Christian first posted a picture on the Facebook page. I don't know, he might have tweeted it as well. I'm not sure. But it's definitely on the MTS Facebook group. Put it out there. Just an empty... and it's going to have John Roca and Clark Wolf. So that's very interesting. And then he released another picture. He posted another picture about a few hours before we started recording this. And it looks like... I couldn't really tell, but the comments, I've seen the name Alex Wolf put up there. So... I think he was in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and a couple other things. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but we're going to find out, I like to believe, next week. Not sure. But, very interesting to see who they're going to get, because I think this is the first celebrity match of this season, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong? Am I right?
No, yeah. That would be the first one. Yeah, it would
Chris,
be.
is that correct? Is it?
You think so? We had the Whitney and Schnepp celebrity match. With,
oh my gosh. Evil Dead. How could
Evil Dead.
That was this season?
Wow. God, that seems so long ago. Jesus.
Amazing. And you were on the reaction with us.
That's right, I was, but it just seems so long ago. We haven't had one in a long time, okay? So it's nice that we're getting one.
That one was like in December, wasn't it?
No, it was February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
it was like, the season just started, so I mean,
it was fresh. It was fresh.
It seems like we haven't had one this season, but we have. But you're right.
Can I do a proposed celebrity match? This is what I don't think this is what it is at all, but this is what I would like to see.
Sure.
And it's not the fabled Kevin Hart versus The Rock match. I want to see someone who's been on the Schmoedown before, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
And I want to see him take on another 90. Freddie Prinze Jr. was like late 90s icon. Would you say maybe early 2000s? Late 90s.
Sure. Yeah.
Late 90s,
definitely
right?
Late 90s, definitely, yeah.
So I want an icon of the early 90s. I want to see Freddie Prinze Jr. versus Macaulay Culkin in the movie Trivia Schmoedown. And I think that we can make it happen. I would love to see this match. I think that they both have a level of knowledge. They've been around, and we could even make it all 90s trivia if we wanted to. So, I don't know.
What I'm getting at is you just want people on the show that you've talked to, that you've met in person. Is that what you're telling me, Brad? Because you're going to have Freddie
maybe I could be the
show,
guest
right?
commentator.
Yeah. Okay. I see what he's doing here, Chris. He's angling.
Maybe my best friend Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. He's more bunny. Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin did give me bunny ears, as a gift, and Freddie Prinze,
nice
he was on Heated Conversation.
I would like to see Freddie and Josh Wolf. They do a podcast together. Prinze
they
and
do.
Wolf. So and Josh Wolf is hilarious. I've seen him do stand up, and Ellis has toured with him or opened up for him and stuff. So Josh Wolf and Freddie Prinze do a Schmoedown. That'd be fucking hilarious.
So it could happen. And you know what? It could happen at the live event, and you never know what's going to happen when it's live, brother. El Portal Theater, sold out. It's going to be sold out to the rafters. People are going to be hanging down. It's going to be a Road Warrior pop like from the late 80s, maybe 88, 89 at the best. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event. Team Action, who we're about to speak to here momentarily, takes on the Shire Wolves. You got the Star Wars triple threat. Frank, you were at the first one. You're probably even more excited for this one.
Gosh, yes.
It's going down. Tickets are, I think are we out? Have we sold out?
Much. I think they last I looked, there was like 10 left. So they opened up 20 more because they sold out the original lot of tickets. So they opened up some more seats, and I think we're topping out around 300, maybe a little more than that. So it's gonna be one hell of a time. And the way Christian keeps teasing this, something huge is going to go down. Something massive. Something that's going to change the Schmoedown in a very impactful way is going to happen at this live event. I don't know. And I don't know. What can happen here? Who effing knows? But I want to be there for it, and I'm going to be there for it.
Yes. And I'm about 21%.
We're down to 20 now?
Sure.
21%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe 7% sure.
So that's a huge difference between 20 and 7, yeah.
Is it,
but,
though?
Hey, I mean,
it's only numbers. It's only numbers.
Yeah,
Who
sure.
cares
Yeah,
about
only
numbers?
Who gives a hell about numbers?
Nobody looks at those.
No
Nobody
one
keeps
does.
track of numbers.
Maybe like 7 people, but like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
That tops.
Tops. Yeah, the very tops. Yeah.
Well, enough jibber jabber, Frank Janisch. I say let's get to the main event. And the main event is Team Action versus DC Movie News. It went down. It was, I think, another really top tier team match this year in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. Go ahead, Frank.
These run of matches the past week and a half,
I know.
2 weeks have been unreal. Unreal.
The Schmoedown is really hitting a great stride right now.
Yeah.
With level of competition and entertainment level and just expanding and growing. And I think that a team that is great for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown is Team Action, and Team Action joins us right now. Well, we said we had a special guest interview right now here on the Schmoedown Rundown, and they have joined us. I think the most handsome, the best dressed, the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing sons of guns. It is Team Action. They're joining us right now. Team Action, how y'all doing, guys?
Dude, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. I thought you guys were describing your crew. It's flattering to describe us. All right. We need Brad Gilmore at the live event to announce Team Action after that. That was brilliant. Hype, man. That's exciting.
I love that idea. I know we're all excited for the live event. You had a big match, though, that you're here to talk about. First off, let's address the live event. How are y'all feeling going in to this El Portal Theater in front of 300 Schmoevillians screaming their heads off? How are y'all feeling?
Do we look worried to you? Worried? Do we look nervous? Come on. The Team Action side of us doesn't give a shit. We're ready to go kick their asses at the Shire Wolves. But the Ben and Andrew side of it, we're excited, man. I mean, this is huge. Like flattering. It's flattering that the first Schmoedown weekend live event, full on hype train, is headlined by Team Action. We're hyped. I mean, we can't wait. We're renting a lion, a physical lion. I'm going to pull a Mike Tyson, bringing a lion and a tiger. But yeah, the fact that we've sold 300 tickets plus is unbelievable. We can't believe it. I'll be honest. I'm like a slight bit of anxiety, not nervousness, but just like, holy shit, this is going to be insane. Yeah. I mean, we attended the last live event. It was really exciting and it was very full. I mean, there was a couple extra seats that there was like 1 or 2 extra seats kind of in the high rafters sort of area, but does not look like those seats will be available this time. Looks like there's going to be an actual shoulder-to-shoulder packed house. Yeah, we were totally fanboying at the first live event. It was totally badass. Yeah.
And Frank, I know you're excited. I mean, you went to the first live event. Now you're going to get to see Team Action in action live and in living color. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see just how packed this theater is. I know 300, maybe 300 plus. Who knows if they open up more seats, because they just did a little while ago. Earlier in the week they did. So that was a good sign to see that, the Schmoevillians, the Schmoedown community's coming out for this match. Last time it was a pretty good success, pretty big success, and this one sounds even bigger. And the way Christian has been...
You're talking all this talk, Frank, and the only thing I can think about is how you said we'd never scored 29 points before. Yeah, I was kind of stuck on that.
Well,
all I can hear this whole time.
I was being specific in the point total, not as an overall, like, hey... I know you scored 31, but they never also scored 29 until now. So that's how I'm going to cover that one.
A little technicality there.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to.
That was pretty good. That was a good spin, Janisch. I like that one.
We'll take that. Yeah, that's like when they're like, this is the first time in the third quarter that a quarterback has thrown for 2 touchdowns while only throwing for 150 yards in 48-degree weather, mind you.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a relevant stat. I get that. I appreciate that, Janisch.
Yeah. In my defense, I was putting that together at like midnight. I told that to Christian. He was like,
"There is no defense, damn it!
That was my defense.
And shut your mouth, Janisch."
Defense. We're drinking straight Kahlua in the bathroom. Everybody knows it. Come on, Janisch. We caught you in there at the last collision. The bottle.
No comment.
But how did y'all feel, guys, when Christian or the powers that be came to y'all and said, "Look, we're going to do another live event. It's going to be our first one on a weekend, and we want Team Action to go against the Shire Wolves." Like, what was your first reaction to that?
Why are we playing this team that doesn't deserve to play us? Yeah, I mean, we, this is the funny thing, guys, is like, all right, so Clark and Rachel, nothing but respect. Amazing competitors. Honestly. Like, truly, 2 of the best in the whole league. Rachel's one of the only people that has beaten us in the whole league. Yeah, really, really impressive players. And, we played Rachel early on when she was in Nerds Watch in her second match ever. And so, we have plenty of respect for them. But the thing is, we were 5-1. And people like to say that Team Action lost a lot. You know, we lost in the tournament final, and then we had a bad match. We had a bad match after we were completely burnt out, and we did not care about playing top 10. But regardless of any excuses, we still lost. Are 1-0. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we are playing them at this point is a little that was our first reaction. Is like, give us a big ticket match. Not that they aren't great players, but give us a big ticket match of a team that's worked their way in. It's not just about record; it's about spectacle. Yeah, and it's also about being a team. So Rachel and Clark are both incredible competitors on their own. We've seen them. We've seen them on Wolves of Steel, and we've seen them on Nerds Watch, but we've never really seen them together much. We've seen one match against two people who were fine. You know, they're good players, but they're not on the same level as the two of them. I just think that there's a lot of things you got to iron out in being a team. Ben and I both know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We know exactly what we would take on the wheel, what we would take questions in the third round. We know when to use our JTEs. We know when to use our challenges. It's because we've lost. It's because we've won. It's also because we've been a team for over a year. And let me tell you guys something. I can't wait to see Clark and Rachel iron it out live. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't either. And my other thing that I can't wait for is Clark and Rachel let the audience affect them, whereas Ben and I let the audience feed us and fuel us. So I think, honestly, the live event is putting them at a bit of a disadvantage. I'm literally going to set this guy loose. I mean, that's all I got to do. So, you know.
Who's he going to kill next? We don't know.
Yeah, right. We don't know.
Do you guys think that, I mean, Clark, she does some like stage production stuff in her past and in her present work. But Rachel, you know, she's a behind-the-scenes person before coming into the Schmoedown. So, I mean, do you think really that's the stage is going to be a hindrance to her? Is that what you're banking on in terms of somewhat of your strategy?
We're not banking on it. No. We're banking on winning by being better at trivia and knowing what we're doing. Yeah. What we're hoping for, we're natural performers. You know, before I got into hosting and movie reviews and Schmoedown, I had 2 albums out. I was a live touring musician. I mean, that's what I did. That's what I used to do. And I'm a classically trained ballet dancer. And by ballet dancer, he means cage fighter. And by cage fighter, I mean I killed people in prison. Yeah. No, but I mean, like both of us have done like hundreds and hundreds of hours of on stage in front of hundreds of people type of stuff. So like this is the most exciting thing in the world to us. It's honestly sometimes harder when there's only a smaller audience on a tape day. If you're taping like a little bit less, more of a feeder fish match, when the energy's lower, it sometimes kind of brings us down a little bit. So I think this is going to be better for us. Cool. Yeah, I think honestly the live crowd and the 300 people there is going to do only favors for Team Action. Honestly, even if they're all Shirewolves fans. Which
they won't be. They're going to be all Action fans, of course.
Right.
My question is this, and maybe people already know, maybe they don't, but I would be interested to know, how did y'all, before we get into the match, how did y'all come together as a team? Because I think that y'all are just work so well together, and I'm sure it's due to, some off-air antics, if you will, but in large part, it's just, on air, you have so much chemistry on screen together. You work well off one another, like you said. How did y'all come together as Team Action?
Well, back in the old days, my old apartment, there was this little laundromat around the corner. They didn't have a laundry machine in my building, so Andrew worked at the laundromat at the time. So I used to go in on Thursdays because they'd have a half-price special on whites, right? They give free bleach. And it wasn't the clothing, it was the people. Yeah. And so I'd go in there on Thursdays, and we kind of got to talking because we're both really, really, really big fans of half-off dry cleaning. Yeah. I was actually going to say crocheting, but gotcha. No, we just as far as the action stuff goes, I mean, you guys know we do a show, and that's where the whole action persona thing got started. But I want to even go back farther than that because I was talking to the laundromat. Yeah, back to the laundromat, after the laundromat, before the Team Action. I was talking to Yodi today, and Yodi was telling me that him and Christian actually used to work at a restaurant together back in the day. And I'm not going to say which one it was, just in case. I don't know who the fuck would care, but I'm not going to say it. It was definitely Fuddruckers. It was Fuddruckers, and they served us. They're the ones that took a picture of us. So Ben and I have we've known each other for a very long time. We used to work together in the restaurant business when we were both still doing that. And then we have our show, AMA, and honestly, we're just good friends. I mean, this guy's put me in check a lot of my 20s, kind of reeled me in. As you can see, I still go to prison and assault people. You should have seen me before, I bet. And we're pretty much the two bad guys in the raid. He's like the mad dog crazy one. Oh, yes. And I'm the other guy. You're the guy that stabs the guy in the neck in the elevator. Exactly.
Well, okay. I love it. Now, one more thing before we get into the match. And Frank, I want you to have stats and scores ready for me.
So
The
we can
right
throw to you
stats
and
scores. Me too.
We'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah, and be on the ball, Janisch. But Andrew Ghai,
Yes, sir.
I want to say this. So before the season started, we did this little thing on this show where we drafted our fantasy teams, right? We picked 4 or 5 guys who we wanted on our team. Now I picked Andrew Ghai, right? And I was like, you know what? Andrew Ghai's my guy. This is going to be my guy. So I just wanted to tell you, face to face or Skype to Skype right now, that not only did you make your partner and I'm sure your mother very proud in this team match, you made me proud, and for no other reason than I could just look at this jabroni right here, this Frank Janisch, the only one who's not wearing a blazer on the call right now. I can look at him and tell him that he is an idiot, and it probably comes from upbringing, which means his parents were probably idiots too.
All right.
wait, Frank.
I want him as our manager. I like Brad. I like Brad a lot. No disrespect to Janish's parents. It's obviously a sensitive subject for all of us. But you're an idiot, Janisch. You are an idiot. And also, the fact that you're saying jabroni makes me even happier. Honestly, you picking me in your fantasy league, I'm assuming I was cheap because I was cheap in most people's fantasy league. You're a genius because Ben and I were 5-1. We lost 2 matches to 2 championship teams. That's it. That put us 5-3. I had 2 bad matches, and one of them was on the biggest match ever that I've ever played. And you know what? I shit the bed. I have a hard time living it down. That ATL match, I knew 7 of those answers. Ben even knew that I knew 7 of those answers. But what happened was I wrote down Liam Hemsworth and Armie Hammer, and I got really hot. I got really hot. And I started to get anxious, and the lights and everything. And then it just was like one after the other after the other. And it was brutal. It was honestly the most brutal thing I've ever done in this entire league. Ben knows. I still haven't watched that match. I can't because it was the worst thing ever. But the fact that you had faith in me and I came back and represented makes me so happy because we're fucking team action, man. We're 5-1. We're the 3rd best team in the league.
We're 6-3.
Well, yeah, we were 5-1 at the time. Yeah, I know what our record is.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you extended that record to it and put another dub in the column. You went up against DC News this past Tuesday on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, and it was a very fun match. How did y'all feel, though? Ben, let me throw it to you. How did you feel about DC Movie News?
I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I just but really quickly before I get into it, because he's been strangely silent. Chris Clark, who are you rooting for these days?
Yeah.
Who's your horse? I feel like I don't even know anymore.
I saw you in your Take 3 reaction, half rooting for us, but then you still got to hold up this facade you got. We know you love us, Chris.
You like to root for bad teams.
What's up?
Which hurts my feelings. So who is it? Who's your guy?
No, I mean, it's still Bibiani, it's still Whitney, and it's still Robert Meyer Burnett. Anybody else, it's just give or take. I forget. I think it was probably because I made the bet and I just didn't know what I was going to do. I just like seeing Matt Kearns miserable. And when Matt Kearns is miserable, it makes me happy. So you know what? I give him the benefit of the doubt, you guys. We have a love-hate relationship. It is amazing. But at the end of the day, those 3 are probably my favorites. But you know what? You guys are rock stars. So when you do succeed, it does bring a little bit of joy in my heart, if not just a slight tinge.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'll question it. On to DC. So, the feeling was a year ago or whatever it was, they threw out this challenge at the end of a match. And at that point, Drew and I were just, we were hot. We were running through teams. We were just like, we're not going to play you guys. It's ridiculous. We've given Kalinowski a lot of grief, given him a hard time, and it just didn't feel justified. So at this point, it felt like we needed a match to get back in the game. We had been out for a while. He learned some things in prison, and that was important to the development of our team. And this felt like a reasonable team. We know Kalinowski's a dangerous player. Adams had an 8-point round once. I mean, we know they're real guys. We never thought that they were going to be a real challenge. But we did know that they were a good team. And I don't know why. I don't know why we thought that. Like, this is dropping the team action facade. We were never that worried about them, despite respecting them. They had an era of legitimacy for a minute about 8 months ago during the tournament. They had, a small era where it seemed like they were a real team for a second. And as happens, I mean, we lost 2 matches, and the whole world decided we weren't good anymore. They lost a couple matches, and that was that. So we just, it's like any sport or boxing, whatever. It's like you judge somebody by their record and what you really think they can do to you. Kalinowski came out, and he did to us the best thing he could do to us.
Yep.
And we still beat him.
We beat them both in round one, both of us. We had better points, scores, whatever you want to call it, than both of them in round one. And then when round two came around and he spun James Bond, I don't know how much you can see on the cameras. I mean, I do because I've watched the match a good amount, but I don't know how much you're paying attention to Ben and I. When he spins James Bond, we kind of smile at each other because we're like, it's his best category. This is going to be interesting. And also, you took the only category off the wheel that we didn't want. Literally. Was the only one. So then when we spun Opponent's Choice, again, if you look at us, we're both smiling.
Because he can't give us James Bond.
Can't give us anything to beat us. And everyone's talking about, look, I'm going to just say this. I've been saying this since day one to Ben. I'm like, don't tell people your strengths. Don't tell people what we're good at. Don't let them know. Ben is one of the best people I've ever met at movie release dates. And for all you fucking people out there that haven't paid attention to all the things he said online, all the things that the other competitors have said, there's a reason why they didn't give us movie release dates. Kalinowski's our friend. He knows. He knows that Ben would have murdered him in that category.
I'm about an 85%er on that category.
I asked him 100 questions the other night, and he answered 81 of them. 81 of them correct. And they were all movie release dates.
Wow.
Every single one of them.
I don't miss.
He doesn't miss. And the thing is that Mike knew that. And when they spun James Bond, it was the best and worst thing that could have happened for them because the most they could have gotten was 12 points. And we were still going to score at least 10, no matter what category was up there. Did we score 10? 8 points?
I think we got 8.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Well, Frank, why don't we get back to round one? Let's talk about what went down. What were the scores after round number one, Janisch?
Yeah, so Andrew talked about it. Ben, you scored 7. Andrew, you scored 6. And then Adam Gertler, he scored 4. And Kalinowski, he had 5. So it was 13-9 at the end of the first round. You guys got a bit of a lead there after the second and third question when they both missed on that. You guys got a nice cushy lead there. At that point, I'm assuming you guys felt things were going the way you had foreseen after they missed a couple questions, and then I think you guys felt pretty confident going forward through the rest of that round.
Yeah, I think, what's interesting is like playing solo, because I played a couple singles matches now. If I'm up 3-1, it's good, but I'm a much more calculated, like in my head player. I'm good at the smack talk, but like, it's not the same thing as when we do a match together. It's a whole different vibe. My rhythm is different. Being up 6-2 in the exact same metric situation with us as a team, you feel invincible. There's just no way we're going to lose that match because it seriously feels like all of a sudden we're driving downhill, like really, really fast. You could just see it in Kalinowski's eyes. He started ribbing me when I missed a question. I think we both missed it. Well, yeah, he goes, oh, no perfect round, and we're up like 3 or 4 points.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I get that you're trying to get in our heads, but first of all,
he's getting in his own head.
Don't ever try to talk shit to us. It's almost never going to work. It just isn't. First of all, we're unflappable, and second of all, we're going to beat you at your own game. We just will, because like that's what we do. Ben's better at movie trivia, I'm better at talking shit, but we're both good at movie trivia, and we're both good at talking shit. Whereas, like, with DC Movie News, you have a silent teammate, and then you've got Kalinowski, who's supposed to be a good guy. So if you're sitting there as a good guy trying to talk shit to the 2 biggest heels in the league, and your fire or your fodder is that you've scored more points than us, and you guys aren't going to have a perfect round anymore, it's like, okay, great. Sure, man.
He was more worried about me not having a perfect round than I was. Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't even think about a perfect round because I didn't think it was going to happen, Because I'm bad at movie trivia, remember?
Yeah, remember Janisch? Remember that little morsel?
Hey, he brought it up, not me. So.
But in round one, what do y'all look for normally? So you're saying, Ben, when it's a solo, it's a whole different thing. In round number one, are you looking to hit him hard and hit him early and get a nice cushion there? Like right now, we're talking about the playoffs. Rockets right here, they're killing me. I want them to come out and get 15 in the first quarter and have a nice 15-point cushion going into the second quarter. Is that kind of what your strategy is, or do y'all just really see where the chips fall and then you're going to get them in round two?
We have a pretty specific strategy as a team. Personally, round one, it's my favorite round in Schmoedown. I think it's the most important round in Schmoedown. So I don't know, Janisch, if you went and added everything up, because I sent you a message like a month ago about this, right around the time we played this match. That's like 2.5 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks ago. But I sent you a message, and my first 3 matches, I remember. So whatever, Nerds Watch, Night Sisters, and Late for the Party. Yeah, I didn't have the best first rounds.
And because I went back to review the early days to see how we kind of did as a team.
We were more even back then.
Yeah. And since those first 3 rounds, I averaged close to 7 points in round 1. I average like 85%.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. And round 1 to me now is like, I don't even think about it. If I miss 2 questions in round 1, I'm surprised. So when you ask like what I'm looking for in round 1, I'm waiting to hear the one question where I'm like, all right, yeah, that's going to be the one, I guess.
And he's also looking for 5 points for me at least.
Yeah, right, exactly. If we can get out of round 1 with 12 points, we're pretty much going to win. That's like how we feel about it.
I think if either of us score a minimum of 5 points in round 1, we're both feeling good enough. Like walking into round 2 with 10 points isn't the best feeling, but walking in with anything under than 10 points is not a good feeling.
I mean, the rounds we've lost, it's been exactly that.
Yeah.
I've said that a lot, that if you can walk into round 2 at least double digits, 10 points, then you're going to be in it through the rest of the match. Otherwise, it's a pretty tough uphill battle going through round 2 and then getting into round 3. You know, it's you're banking on a lot of luck in that final round to overtake someone, because it doesn't really happen a lot in the league. If you're down going into that final round, I think a team only comes back like 20% of the time. So I think the first round is very important, especially in teams, because that's a total of 16, possibly 18 total points right there, and that's sometimes, you know, your final score is 18 points for a match. So if you can...
Round 1 also, though, the interesting thing about it is that because there's 8 questions in a row, it's different than the other rounds in the sense that you don't get the time, the multiple choice, the pause. It goes very fast.
Yeah.
So if you miss the second or third question, you start to get in your head.
Yep.
And you, like exactly what happened in ATL with you, you can start dropping questions fast.
Which, honestly, now looking back in retrospect, what I should have done in that match is just burned our JTE rules in the first round. I should have wasted all of our JTE rules and taken my time, because that's what I needed to get back in the game. Because we took them to the last question. You know, they ended up beating us on their 3-point. The game ends up, you know, we lose 26-25. Who knows if it would end up being 31-25. But the point is that I should have taken my time in round 1 to make myself more comfortable for the rest of the game. The biggest thing about round 1, I think, is establishing your presence in the game. And it's about where you're at. So even if you're losing, because Ben and I have definitely come into round 2 losing. We enjoy playing from behind. We're okay with that heat on us. But it's really about where your mentality's at. So if you go into round 2, you're like, I did as best as I could in round 1. I got 5 points. We're at 10 points. They're at 14. That's okay. But if you go into round 2, you're like, fuck, I missed this question and this question. I didn't take my time on this. It becomes a whole different mental game.
Yeah, it's really like, you just mentioned the thing about the JTE rules. And again, you know, behind the curtain here, sort of the way that we play it, we've had conversations before. We actually believe that burning your JTE rules as soon as you need them in a match is the smartest way to play the game.
And your challenge. It's very rare that you come to your 5-point question and if both of you don't know it, and you're not going to get there with one JTE rule or 2. For instance, I mean, and we're going to get there with our round.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. All right, we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll definitely cover that one when we make it there. But that is interesting, because I've always said that round 2 is the make or break round. That's what I've always felt was the round. Not me not playing, of course, but just as a viewer, a spectator, I always thought that was the round to where if you had a bad showing in round 2, you're pretty much out of the game. So do you not feel like that? You feel like round 2 is kind of like you got to do okay?
I think you can lose the game in round 2. Yeah, I think you can win the game in round 2 as well, but it's more likely that you're going to get 8 points. But if you get a bad category or play badly, and you go in and you get 4 points or something, you get maybe you like miss a steal or something. When I played in Draco, for instance, you know, I don't know if I got to talk to you guys about it, but like that's my above the line match basically. Those 2 action adventure questions in round 2, I knew both answers. I would have gotten both multiple choice, and I got in my head about it, and I gave away a 2-point steal on Billy Bob Thornton and Armageddon, and that was like, that's a good example of losing a game in round 2. It's like,
sure,
I could have gone into that last round losing 14-13 as opposed to 16-11. And it's all because I didn't take my time and I got rattled. And so I think you can lose the game in round 2. It's hard to win it in round 2.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying with how round 2 feels so monumental. But then, you know, we've played in a number 1 contender match where there's 5 rounds. And I truly believe that it's really about the first round really sets up your mentality and the rhythm for the rest of the match.
Gives you the rhythm.
Exactly. So that when you go into round 2, especially in a 5-round match, even if you don't have the greatest round 2, there's still a lot more game to be played. Just like even if in a normal 3-round match, if you're only down like 4 or 5 points going into round 3, there's still a lot of makeup you can have. There's still 10 points to be had in the 3rd round. But it's about confidence in the 1st round and what that does to your performance in the 2nd really I just think, like you said, I think that the way that you set up the mentality of the game is in the first round, but you lose or win in the second. I just think the first round is more important in my mind. You guys ever notice, like, in a game of football, like, you watch in the first quarter, the quarterback gets sacked or throws an interception in the first 10 minutes. Feels like the rest of the game, it's really unpredictable, like run, pass. You never feel like you're like, oh, are they going to pull this off? Versus, like, Aaron Rodgers comes out, passes 6 times, gets a touchdown in the first drive. Feels like the rest of the game, he's just controlling the pace. Yeah. Every time he throws, it's a completion. Every time he hits someone, it's a first down. And you're like, there's just no question. He knows what he's doing. And it's so much of it is momentum based. That's how round 1 feels. It's like if you come out and you get those 5 or 6 points or 7 points, it really doesn't feel like it's a question of knowledge anymore. It's a question of like taking your time and actually feeling your way through rounds 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt that if you can crush the first round, you can kind of have, in the teams, you can kind of have a down second round because now your first round is going to help carry you through that second round to at least, be competitive in the third round if that second round goes horribly awry. Because I think you're right. You don't necessarily lose or win in the second round because that first round, especially in teams, like I said, possible 16 points, that's more points than you can get in the first round combined. You only get 12, and then you might not get lucky and get steals, so take all you can in that first round. So that's kind of where my mindset has been as this has gone on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say it felt really good to know those first 3 questions in round 1 and just be like, oh, got it. The worst thing that can happen is somehow I missed 2 questions out of the next 4. You know what I mean? Or
sure.
Yeah, something like that, or 5, whatever it was.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
We know, and I wanted to ask y'all this too, though. So last week we had the team champions on the show, ATL Above the Line, and
props to those pieces of shit, the most boring team in the
league. I wanted to ask y'all this. There was a bit of I wouldn't call it controversy, but there was a bit of a heated conversation, if you will, about the way the questions. Plug. Yeah, there you go. Cheap plug. Shout out to Booker T, by the way. But there was some conversation about the way that the questions.
Sam will complain about anything.
I wanted to ask you. What do y'all think of? They were kind of critical of the way the questions are written, or sometimes worded, or the amount of. What was it, Frank? Help me out here. The amount of plot-specific questions versus general.
Yeah.
In 2000s, Ted Levine was an LA police sergeant for Paul Walker. It's like you don't need to throw Paul Walker in there because what other movies was he in? Yeah, which is funny because I watched almost every reaction video out there, and I'd say over half of the people out there guessed the wrong movie, whether it was Brick Mansions or Into the Blue or Too Fast, Too Furious. People fuck up. And the thing is when you're sitting there with the lights on you and you've got 1 question left and 1 answer left, whether you win or lose, your mind does a lot of fucked up things to you. I think to the point of you're asking about the specifics of the question and the way Sam's talking about it. What? Karen, can you get us 2 more drinks? Now, Karen. It's our dog. I think if you look at the way the questions are worded, I think that people like to say Sam plays the game better than anyone else. That's like a thing people say. He complains about the game. If you're somebody who's going to question every wording and you're going to basically if there was $1 million behind this game and you had a whole committee of 15 people that was going to vet every question and see what's the difficulty level? Is this a 1? Is this a 2? So on and so forth. Yeah, sure. Things would be more balanced, right? The wheel would be more physically perfect, right? It would spin more perfectly. There are things like that certainly, but we're not there. So I heard actress, not actor / it's dude, but so as far as the controversy behind the questions and the way that they're asked, the specifics and all that stuff goes, it's a double-edged sword. He does play the game better than anyone. He is the most technically perfect, absolutely. But he also is the person who's going to question the most things to try to get an advantage every time. And the fact that he's a champion now and has a belt gives him the platform to just be the biggest pain in the ass every match ever.
Well, it does give him some validity.
He always complains about at least a couple questions. He always wants to challenge something, but then doesn't. And again, this is no slight on Sam Levine. He's an incredible player. He's the champion. He's a double champion. But I will say, shut the fuck up and play the game, bro.
There you go.
Is it the way though that an NBA player, let's say a Draymond Green, after he commits a foul, he goes over and complains to the referee to try to see if the
go ahead. Do you know how many times Draymond gets calls reversed?
How many?
Zero.
Big donut. Yeah.
They tell him to go shut the fuck up, and if you want to keep talking, here's your tech. And if you want to keep talking, you're going to get ejected from the game. That's the way it goes in real sporting events, is the refs are unwavering. I mean, to your point, like if the question is not Draymond specifically, but like NBA players, yeah, some of the stars will get calls more often if they complain a lot. Like sometimes later calls. I wouldn't be surprised if Levine has that in mind. He knows how to play the game. He's aware of that. I think also, though, like, because there isn't that committee of people, there's some validity to it, right? Like, so great example of this was against Clark. One of the questions was about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What species of animal is a genius?
Oh, the rat and the mice.
And so she says rats. And Christian looks at Mark and he's like,
ooh, we can't take that, but we'll take another marsupial.
And then he's like, you want a seal? And Sam goes, mice? And he's like, correct. And it's like, it's a little bit like, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff that Sam has a point with, is like, yeah, some of that stuff isn't run exactly fairly because it's such an advantage to see that reaction on his part. And so I think that's kind of, he likes to point stuff like, you know, if it was reversed, for instance, he would have challenged that.
For sure. And that's where I don't have a problem with the way that Sam plays the game. That's why I think he plays the game better than anyone else, is because, you know, you challenge 8 times, or you challenge 10 times, right? And maybe 8 out of 10 are valid. That's still 8 out of 10, you know, or even if it's half and half, it's still 5 of those times something else should have happened. And like Ben texted me immediately during that match, was like, what did you guess it was after she said rats? You know, like, so I do understand what Sam's saying. However, I have to disagree with the way that questions are asked, because honestly, the more information you get sometimes can make something more confusing. It can make you think harder and harder. It can make you, if you hear the word veteran or you hear the word LAPD or you hear, you know, whatever it might be, your brain starts going down a different pathway. So
yeah, I think that's part of his complaint or issue with the what's eating Gilbert Grape question. You know, they gave like a chunk in the first half, and then it sounded like they were asking for one thing, but then they continued with the question, so it sounds like another, and that was a whole big.
But here's the thing that I want to say about that is, if you look at our match, when they ask the Pirates of the Caribbean, they go, blah, blah, blah is the name of a ship in what franchise? And I sit there and I go, I'm sorry. That's the name of the ship. They go, yeah, I'm sorry. What's the name? So they fix it. There's a way to do it. I didn't have to challenge. I didn't have to go crazy because I knew the answer. So I go, I'm sorry. That's not worded correctly. What are you actually asking me? As opposed to being like, well, this is ridiculous. I didn't hear this. Challenge. Like, it's just a different thing.
Sure.
That's just how I feel.
I think that's fair enough. Fair enough. Frank, why don't you give us the rundown? What happened in round number 2?
So round number 2, actually, you guys defer. And DC Movie News, as you talked about, they went Bond. Keselowski runs the table there. He gets 11 of a possible 12 points. He has a great round for them.
Incredibly impressive.
Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
And you guys land on sports first, and then you go away and you end up hitting opponents. They give you fantasy sci-fi. But before we get to that, what made you go away from sports? Because you talked about Bond was really the only one you were afraid of, but I'm assuming now you like something else on the wheel that could have been better for you?
Well, I think there was 5 categories or so on the wheel that we felt really, really good about. 5 or 6 probably. Yeah. Bond being one of the ones that we no longer could spin. So if we had to take sports, I've played along with the sports matches. I'm usually like in this like 7 to 8 points range. It's not like a bad category. It's a fine category. It's just like wavering. Yeah, it's hit or miss for us. Yeah. There was only like, even like Charlize was on there, and we were like, would we want to do that? But it's like, it's a new category, so the questions are probably a little more shallow. Like, there wasn't really a category on the wheel that we didn't like for the most part, so we were fine respinning. I mean, because there was a couple categories on that wheel that if we had gotten it would have been like game over. Yeah, and we're not going to tell you what those are, but if we got them, it would have been a slam dunk. It would have been like, I mean, you guys saw in my singles match Oscars. I think Oscars was on our range. And like,
we know Oscars and movie release dates at this point.
Those are good categories. I mean, there's a few categories out there for us that we've talked about that are basically home run hitters, and there was a couple of them on the board, and there was a couple of them on there that there's also categories we talk about that we want nothing to do with ever, and those also weren't something that we were worried about. Yeah. So it was a good wheel. It was a good wheel. So for sports movies, it was just one of those things. It was like, we'll probably get, like you said, around 8 points, 7 or 8 points, who knows? But in every other category in there, we'll probably get a base of that. Now, I will tell you guys this.
this is a great example of a team not doing their research because we got Fantasy Sci-Fi in the tournament, I believe, against Trek.
I think we scored 11 of 12 or something.
Yeah,
right.
Or at least 9. I think we got 5 out of 6 correct in that category the last time we got it. So I know what Kalinowski was going for there with that choice because I've seen when you get a bad Fantasy Sci-Fi wheel where it's like a bunch of weird 70s and 80s obscure movies.
Yeah, I mean, that one that 6 Degrees had was brutal.
And I've seen that happen. So I think that's probably what he was hoping for. It was going to be a bunch of strange movies that we didn't know, but it includes so much that also crosses over into action, which is a strength for us. I mean, supposedly.
I mean, not anymore, man. Action adventure, those questions are so dark and deep. It wasn't even on the wheel for us last time because it's a nightmare.
Yeah, we hate that category.
You guys got 9 points last time in Fantasy Sci-Fi against Trek.
Yeah. 12, so it was one of those things where it's like, so we missed 3 points out of 12. Don't give us that as your
it doesn't seem like a smart move.
It doesn't seem like the best thing, you know? And then I also think when we spun that against Trek, did we re-spin and land on it?
Can't remember.
I can't remember.
No, I think you guys are on comedy.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, round 2 for us was fun.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's funny. Like,
you guys came out tied 21-21. So,
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, Kalinowski won 11 of 12. He had a totally insane, one of the most impressive rounds I've ever seen. Like, Tully Savalas, like he was.
Oh yeah, that's a hell of a
He was pulling stuff in that.
I think I would have gotten Robert Carlyle and Walter PPK.
Yeah, I would have gotten one. I would have gotten the director of Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. I would have guessed like 3 or 4 on Roger Moore, and then Octopus.
Oh, and I knew Roger Moore. I knew 7 actually.
Yeah, it was just really impressive, man. I like that.
It was good. He had a great round. I mean, that's why I think it's funny because like on Fantasy Sci-Fi, the first question was Battle Los Angeles, and they go, and I lean over to him and I go, "What is that, like Aaron Eckhart or something?" And so like. And so he like.
It seems like a movie he would do.
And then the same thing with Narnia, the thing, and I go, I'm pretty sure it's a lamppost.
Right. So in both cases, if we had gone ham, we wouldn't have even had to answer our 5. We would have won.
It's one of those things though, where people give a shit about being team multiple choice, but it's half as many points that get stolen if you get it wrong.
Exactly.
And those 2 points when you steal and when you miss is brutal. For instance, from Paris with Love with ATL, we both sat there. And we know the whole cast of that movie. We know it. We know John Travolta and John Rhys Davies are in there. We both go, it's one of the 2. And we didn't do the work. We didn't repeat the question. We didn't hear veteran correctly. And we would have guessed John Travolta, but we outsmarted ourselves.
So Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
And they got a 2-point steal from us. Whereas if we weren't sure, we should have went multiple choice. They probably would have both been in there. We probably still would have got it wrong. But that's 1 less point. And maybe we would have been tied in the 3rd round.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, yeah, fair enough. But there was no though. Like normally when a player will black out like Mike Kalinowski did on a category, I mean it's typically a wrap. I mean it is. It's typically a wrap, and especially to y'all come out tied. Was there no hesitation going into that round 3? Was there no like, oh shit, we're kind of.
Love round 3. If we're not losing in round 3, I don't know if you know my stats on round 3 personally on the questions that at least I've had to answer.
You're like almost perfect.
Yeah, I missed I'm probably over 75% on round 3 lifetime.
Ben, you are actually 6 for 6 in the final round you've accumulated 14 points, all said and done. Yeah.
So where am I at, Cash? Let me hear my numbers.
You are 3 and 6 for a total of 8 points in the final round.
It's perfect. And I also know from watching other matches.
Over how many matches?
That I do well in round 3. Now, granted, that's not totally fair because some of my, you just said, are you saying that the 6 for 6 on ones that I have exclusively answered?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if we go in tied or up in round 3, no concern whatsoever.
Yeah, round 3 is one of those things where it's like you're back with your buddy. It feels good. You know what I mean? Like, even though we already had round 2, it's like round 3 is like, all right, we're back together. Let's finish this out. Let's end the game. And the 2 of us get to that 5-point question. It's pretty rare. I'm not sure how many 5-point questions we've ever missed. Have we ever missed one?
Let's see here.
Just one, maybe?
2.
Frank will have it somewhere.
We missed a
5-pointer
against... I don't know, actually. I'm having a hard time remembering any 5s that we've ever missed.
We're pretty good at 5s. What were you saying, Brad?
Well, no, I was going to. I want to get to your 5-pointer, obviously in this round. But Frank, do you have the questions pulled up?
I do not.
I can tell you them. Yeah, so my 2-point question was in
what animated film did Martin Scorsese voice Sykes?
Yeah. What the hell?
It's funny because I knew that Ben knew it immediately because of his shit-eating grin on his face. I did a study on animated movies that I had no interest in watching like 4 months ago, and I did like 100 movies, top 6 casts, and I remember that particular piece. And I'm usually stronger in animated family and Disney. And also, it's better to usually have the stronger player take the third or the 3-point question, especially if you feel confident in the 2. That was a fucked up question, man. That was tough. Deep cut.
That was a tough one. That was a real tough one.
Honestly, our 2 question and our 3. The 3-point was really tough. Really impressive. The Shark Tale question. He's like the 6th or 7th build character in that movie. Yeah. For a 2-point question, that's even worse than me getting the Wayne Knight Toy Story 2 question as my 3-pointer. I think it's even harder.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Question 2. Yeah. It was one of those where I was like, once I heard it. I knew. Did I use a JTE on that? I think I did. Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like I'm almost 100% sure I don't know the movie, but maybe if I can think about the year. And even when I said Bolt, I think right afterwards, I don't know if they caught it on camera. I was like, that's the wrong year anyway.
Sure, Bolt's 2008.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things where you hear that question, you're like, well, shit. Hopefully the 3 and the 5 are better.
And you missed the 2. I mean,
it's not the end of the world.
You need the 3 and the 5. So.
When the 3, sorry, you guys can lead up the 3-point question because when that was asked, I was like racking my brain.
Yeah, it's a deep cut.
I was like, what would a black guy play that a white guy played? That's literally all I could think about. What role
would they do it?
Yeah, that's all I could think about.
Yeah, the Manchurian Candidate. There's a big list of movies my dad kind of had me watch as a kid. Not even necessarily watch, but I was fascinated with a lot of the classic movie stars growing up. We had like a deck of cards that had like all the classic movie stars. Rock Hudson and Humphrey Bogart and Frank Sinatra. And I don't know. For some reason, Manchurian Candidate was not much hesitation. I just like knew that was the movie.
Yeah, no, you went to it real quickly. I was really happy about that.
Yeah. I've never seen the original Manchurian Candidate. I've seen the Denzel one. It's not very good, but
it's a weird movie. Lee Schreiber's in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I just knew. There's only. I mean, Sinatra was in like 5 movies that matter.
Yeah, just like a handful of movies. Yeah, that people remember.
I was going to guess either Training Day or Eli, Book of Eli.
I think he's in like From Here to Eternity. He won the Oscar for it. He's in Manchurian Candidate. He's in Ocean's 11. That's like pretty much the highlights. There's probably like 2 others that matter. So anyway, yeah, it was good. That was a lucky pull, but it happened to be one that I did know. It was old.
DC, they missed their 2 and their 3. So I mean, you guys gotta be feeling pretty good. Yeah.
The 2. What was their 2? Is Love Is in the Hair.
2 is the movie tagline question.
The Love Is in the Hair, and I lean over, I go something about Mary, and then the 3-point were like Domhnall Gleeson, like we were dying during that.
Yeah. That's.
Do you think they had any like legitimate standing? There was a little bit of not a complaint, but kind of almost a nod over to Christian from Mike Kalinowski when it was movie taglines and then movie quotes that they both pulled.
As much as you want to complain about that, those are 2 completely different things. When I heard Love Is in the Air, I'm like, something about Mary, but that's not in the movie. When I hear There Is No Spoon, which, again, half the reactors out there missed There Is No Spoon, I was blown away. Literally, dude. Wow. Even on take 3s, 2 of them missed it. Yeah. It was another thing. It's like that's a quote, that's a tagline. They're entirely different.
Sure.
But my main question is, should they be within the pool of categories at the same time together?
Yeah, to be able to choose from. That's fine.
I think so. I mean, you've got 20 categories to choose from at random. So,
honestly, dude, I think that there's I think Schmoedown categories by and large break down into a couple different categories. I don't think it's like there are different strengths for everybody. I think some categories are significantly easier for everyone, and some categories are significantly harder for everyone. I don't think either.
Everyone thinks movie release dates is like the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Scores and soundtracks. There's a few categories that are just like kind of across the board. Everybody knows are going to be difficult. So there's no reason that like quotes and taglines. I think taglines is a hard category. Quotes is not that hard. They're almost always iconic.
Yeah.
So I think maybe taglines is a category that should go in the difficult category. But even then, I don't think it's necessary.
Taglines can be really tough, but it's like when you go back and you look at all the questions that have been asked tagline wise, I mean, they're mostly all pretty damn big movies with pretty huge taglines. Like Love Is in the Hair is one of those things. Like I think everyone gets 2 movies. I think everyone guessed Hairspray.
I mean, even I was taken back. I was like, "Holy crap, that makes total sense." After you hear the movie title, but I can imagine you're there under the lights too. That can affect
a lot of movies to rack through in your brain.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So, but let's get to your 5 points.
Well, let's go to DC's first. DC's
okay, go to
5,
DC's, and then because I'm ready to talk about this.
Again, this match was so sweet to win because Kalinowski has never played better. Like,
true.
I mean, maybe the first round. I mean, that was pretty rough. But getting 11 of 12 in the second, and then hitting the comic book movie. Would it be the comic book movie 30 Days a Night? I was so pleased with himself. Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a pull.
It is. I mean,
oh hell yeah!
We both covered Sin City, and I think that could be it, but I don't remember that being in there because the Hartnett scene on the roof, like it could have been Sin City. I mean, I think if we had honest, if that had been our 5-point question, I think we would have done the exact same thing, except instead of burning those timeouts to like think about it, we would have actually probably burned them to think about it. I guess is my point. Whereas in this case, we pretty much knew right away, and I can't tell you which one we would have said. I don't know if we went 30 Days a Night or Sin City, but that was a hell of a pull. Yeah, it was impressive. Give him that.
Then now your 5-pointer. Guys, I got to tell you, when this question was read, I literally said out loud, "You got to be kidding me." I could not believe easy? I honestly did. Because, and again, it is very subjective in that manner, but it was like, come on. Paul Walker, LAPD, it's like... It's a very guessable guess.
Well, you know what? I don't agree with that. It's a guessable answer, I guess, but I'm like a lot of the reactors and people online. I said, "Oh, it's Too Fast, Too Furious, right? It's got to be Too Fast, Too Furious." I would have never thought Fast and Furious, but go ahead, guys.
So the first thing that happened is after Mike answers his question, I lean over to Ben and I go, "No matter what happens, we're using both of our JTE rules and we're going to the last second." Yeah, I think his actual wording was, "Let's milk this." Yeah, no matter what. And then when the question gets asked, you see me. I hear Ted Levine in 2000. I get excited, but then that's because you thought it was Heat, right? I heard that it was Heat. Yeah, and so then I calmed down, and then I hear Paul Walker. Yeah, and then we lean in, and so it goes like this. It's like lean in, and you go, What's the fuck? Fast and Furious, right? And it's like, yeah, and it's like, okay, but let's think about it for a second. And then it starts going, what are the movies? Is it Brick Mansions? Is it Running Scared? Is it, like what other movies is he possibly in that he plays a cop that this could be? And then we're like, repeat the question, and we hear blah, 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 da, 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 LAPD. Because we're going to say Fast and the Furious unless there's some reason we can think of to guess something else. Because, I think the reason that question is not as obvious as you think, Frank, is that Ted Levine is not a face or name that I think most people find very distinctive. He's also in Too Fast, Too Furious, I believe, and Paul Walker is not, which is why half the people out there guessed that. Yeah, right. So I think that it's a guessable question. That's correct because you hear LAPD 2000s Paul Walker. Yeah. But I also think that's so obvious for a 5-point question. And there are sequels. There are reasons. A lot of those movies happen in the 2000s. And if we would have said Fast and the Furious, they could have challenged him. We could have lost.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a really dangerous question.
Yeah,
right. Especially for that franchise with the way they word their movies. Yeah.
People complain that they could have challenged it anyway, but it's not true because the fourth movie is called Fast and Furious, and we said the Fast and the Furious. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is that that live audience, despite what the viewers might think, they're very reactive. And the fact that they didn't lose their shit, I even say it during the thing. I can't believe the audience didn't shit themselves over that question with the last, the there is no spoon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So when they asked that 5-point Paul Walker question, you would expect the audience to do what they normally do, which is just like, come on. God damn it. Come on, whatever it is. On top of which. But they're silent. We say it, and there's a pause, and the audience doesn't react to our answer. Which no one reacts. People claim they do, but they didn't. People didn't know the answer. Even online.
It's very interesting. Wow.
They all stop. Everyone's silent. They don't know who won, which is one of those things. It's like, how can you give us that much shit for an easy question if you aren't lit? I watched one with this guy the other day. He's like, nope, wrong. They lost. And then, say Ben's name, and he's like, what? So was our favorite guy, the guy that turns off the screen when we win. Oh my God, I can't watch this crap. That guy's the best. That's awesome. I think he killed him. He's gonna kill us.
So y'all knew pretty much after the first JTE rule I mean, you kind of knew before after the question was asked, but after the first JT rule, you've kind of solidified your answer.
We were pretty positive that's what we were going to answer. The only thing that was going to talk us out of it was if there was something we could come up with that was like, oh yeah, obviously the other Paul Walker movie where he plays an LAPD detective, and I think Ted Levine's in that too.
Right.
But like we would have had to come up with something that was like, damn, like it would have, like we knew that was going to be.
And I don't know what your guys' experiences with other players and the way that they answer questions, but I'm pretty sure with Ben and I, through rounds 2 and question 5, or the 5-point question, the first thing we do is kind of lean in and we both say what we think it is. And then you kind of talk your way out of why that couldn't be the answer. Yeah. And we just couldn't tuck ourselves out of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think it's interesting to see how teams strategize how to communicate an answer and come up with an answer. I think what you guys have described is probably one of the better ones I think we've heard, because not a lot of teams will confer. Because even above the line, sometimes they won't even confer. They'll just if they know it, he'll flat out just say it. Sam did it a couple times in the recent match, and or Drew will do the same thing. But you could also attribute that to you could attribute that to trust between two players, two teammates. But I think that again, that's something that's agreed upon within the team, and however you guys want to go about it.
I also think that there's a big level of gameplay behind always talking to your teammate and then one of you saying the answer. Because if one of you just answers the questions or answers a certain type of questions like that, we already know Ben's good at this, Andrew's good at this. Ben's good at this, Drew's good at this, Sam's good at this. Whereas it's like, no matter what question's asked, if we go like this, we both nod, we say Newt, it's like, who'd that come from? I don't know.
Right.
Who's good, who's not? It's
kind of masking the deficiency, if you will.
Well, I think that's important.
If there is one.
And I think the other thing that you'll notice is like, so I can't tell you every question that I've ever missed personally, but I can tell you every question I've ever missed that I knew the answer to. And the times that I've ever missed questions that I knew the answer to, it's usually because I didn't play the game right. So like, just going back to the Andrejko match, it was my last match before this. Like I go on that Die Hard with a Vengeance question, and it's what is the name of Samuel Jackson's character, and I go to repeat the question, and he asks it, and it's 5, and I say Jules. As opposed to going down to 1, making sure that it's Jules, and then asking for a multiple choice, which is what I should have done because I knew it was Zeus. Yep. But it's like Jules, Zeus, they sound kind of similar in my head. I can see Bruce Willis saying both. I'm a little rattled, so I don't take my time, and I get impulsive, and I miss the question. And that is literally the definition of what you don't want to do. And you want to use every second, every moment you have is valuable. And it might take you to that last second to realize you were right or wrong.
And you'll also realize it might feel really cool to be like, who played or what was the name of the little girl that really good? Hey, Newt! It's Newt. It's like, man, Andrew knows his shit. It's also really lame when you get those questions wrong.
It's pretty embarrassing.
That shit. And I've watched, you and I haven't been a victim of it much, but I've definitely seen it out there when teammates yell one answer out, and they're just like the other day, I don't remember what match it was, but it was like Men in Black 3. And I was like, oh, Rob Riggle, 100%. I already know. But it was Patrick Warburton. And I'm like, I don't know why I had the two of them mixed up in my head. Like, Ben's like, I don't know who it is. I go, yeah, it was Rob Riggle, 100%. No questions. And then he says the answer. I'm like, oh, shit. I mean, it's like the other thing. It's like you talk about the gamesmanship of Schmoedown. I watched Emma's match. Oh, you know what? I think that's a Patreon match, so I can't talk about it yet. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. But yeah, the bottom line is that like it's always better to confer with your teammate. I think always, whether it's a games point to make it just look like who's answering the question, or whether it's just to solidify the answer and really just there's a reason you have a teammate.
Sure.
Now there was a added stipulation to this match. If you all were to lose the match, which you didn't, but if you were to going into the Shire Wolves match, if you lost, then of course you would break up. If you won the match, which you did, this Shire Wolves match is now a number 1 contendership for the tag championships, which is of course held by Above the Line. I'm sure y'all would really love to avenge that loss to Above the Line, but let's talk about the breakup stipulation. Y'all must have seemed pretty confident, right, to going into this match that wasn't even going to be on the table.
We weren't worried about it. Yeah, it was a slap in the fucking face is what it was. It's like, we haven't even played a match yet. You're going to make our first one back a stipulation match? I've already been gone for 3 months. That was just Christian wanting to get people hyped. I mean, like, the thing is, I don't know what we would have done, honestly, if we had lost both matches, truthfully. I don't either. I don't know if we refused to retire or what, but we just play as a team anyway, and they just have the building. I don't know what we would have done. But, I mean, it just was never, for us, a real concern that we were going to lose both matches, let alone either match. Yeah, we're not going to lose either of them. And honestly, DC Movie News being the first match was just a wonderful stepping stone to the Shirewolves, because we've known since day one, when Mike Kalinowski called us out, it was a mistake for him. And we proved him right, or we proved ourselves right a year later. It felt really good, really good. It's a good match. Yeah. It's definitely I think you talk about sort of the different eras of teams in Schmoedown. We've been a team now in the league for over a year, 14 months, and this match felt very reminiscent of the classic era, the deep cuts Trek top 10-1 era. Sure. We had the rhythm and the swagger that we need as a team to do this the right way. And, those two losses, those were brutal. Those two losses definitely was a punch in the stomach. I was I didn't even know if I could even do movie trivia anymore because I felt so inept after those two matches. Yeah, so rebounding was important. Yeah, it really was.
Now, Frank, do you have anything that you want to say before you have to, officially eat your words on saying that Andrew Ghai was going to be the shits this season?
Well,
you said that. That's so aggressive.
Super aggressive. That was a direct quote. He actually put it even on a T-shirt.
That is true. It's coming in the mail any day now. Andrew, I mean, I'm honestly, look, you have some up and down matches, and it was really only in the beginning. Really in the beginning where it was kind of rough. But then you got into the tournament, and you guys went on a roll, including you. I mean, both of you guys went on a roll. And I think in the last 5 matches, Andrew, you've been 6 points.
Look at him trying to backtrack here.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not backtrack. How can you backtrack on facts, Brad? How can you backtrack on facts? You're saying
in the last 5 rounds, I'm averaging 6 points in the first?
No. The last 5 matches in the first round, you are averaging. You've gotten 6 points.
I don't think that's correct.
In the losses, in the losses, you got 3 points in the first round.
In the last wins, that's right. In the wins,
yeah. I'll take. The last 5 matches in total. Out of the last 5 matches. He's gotten 6 points in the first round 3 times.
Oh, okay.
There we go. We got it?
Yeah. Okay. And then the other 2 were 3.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean...
The ATL match and the top 10 match were the 2 worst things. The top 10 match, which was back-to-back. It was brutal. Also, I will say, and this is no slight on the... because my mother is one of them, but anytime I've invited someone who's close to my heart, including my mother, to a match, I have lost. Anytime I've invited anyone to a match... It was Nerds Watch, Top 10 2, and ATL. The only times I've invited anyone to a match, and I've lost all 3 of those. So
you didn't invite anyone to the live match, is what you're saying? Never again.
Nobody's coming out to the live match. Frank, anything you want to add to this match?
Well, I don't think so, because I really want to get into their opinions and thoughts on Kalinowski here at the end of the match.
Yes.
Because you guys are the resident heels. You guys are the top dogs in the heels. I mean, you guys do it better than anyone else. And now Kalinowski, at the end of this match, what was it like watching that post-match with the league and Kalinowski going off on all of them? What did you think of his heelmanship, if you will?
I mean, heel watch was a thing for a long time with him.
Sure.
You knew it was coming. Everybody could tell. Honestly, I think it's a good move for him. Yeah, he's look good on him. Look good. He's just going to be worse at it than us, just like he was at Movie Trivia on DC Movie News. He's going to be a worse heel than we are. But, hey, man, you can try as much as you want. He wore your exact suit at our match and lost. Yeah, if Kalinowski wants to fetch us water before our next match, he could maybe be Team Action's water boy. We never wear a pair of sunglasses. They probably look good on. Yeah. I think...
Are either one of y'all wrestling fans going back in the day at all? Where do you get the heel mentality?
Back in the day, I was a huge wrestling fan, but I feel like it's been so long and I was so far disconnected from it. But I was a huge Generation X fan, and I loved Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. But he wasn't really a heel, though, was he? Wasn't he more of like
he played both. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is my favorite all time. Honestly, for us, what do you think it is, man? It's fun. It's funny. I wasn't a wrestling guy. I mean, I watched a little bit of wrestling. Since getting into Schmoedown, I've watched a ton of wrestling. I've gone back and watched a lot of it because you mentioned Shawn Michaels. That's the guy for the boss character. That's kind of what I wanted the vibe to be. So I started to kind of work with that. But Chris Clark's falling asleep. Yeah, I was like, what's going on with Chris? He's dying. He doesn't want to hear you talking.
No, we're just giving you shit, man. I think for us, it's one of those things where it's like, look, man, these are all of our friends. If we're going to break kayfabe right now, we're going to be honest. These are all of our friends. We're all playing a game. We all love movie trivia, and we all have our own characters. And, like, for us to be anything other than what we are would be a disservice to you, the fans, and to Christian in the league. Because if you're going to be a half-assed heel, then why do it? And if you're going to be half-assed in the league at all, why do it? Like, when I see new teams come in, and I'm not gonna relent at all. If I see a new team or a new competitor come into the league that's half-assed or doesn't have a persona, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, you don't belong in the league. You got to be entertaining, you got to have knowledge, and you got to play the game. And like, if you're just coming in here to show that you watched a lot of movies in your life, that's not what it's really about anymore. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have watched a lot of movies. It doesn't make you a performer. I get very frustrated seeing when people come in, they clearly haven't watched Schmoedown. They don't understand how the game works. They make mistakes.
When people give top 10 biopics, I lost
yeah,
shit.
Top that? Anybody?
Yeah.
Lost shit. Like, I was actually, like, visually upset.
Would you like to play top that just to put them in their place and show them how it's done?
Oh, they don't deserve to. I already told Ben, they don't deserve to be in the league. If you're going to give a team their strength, you don't deserve to be in the league.
I thought they broke up. I thought they were done.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not really sure what their status is. I think
David might be doing singles.
They had to bow out from playing critically acclaimed for whatever reason. Not sure. But
I'm sure they're good dudes. I'm sure they're good.
David has got to get a cat, like a James Bond villain, like pet his cat and go into singles like that. That's the move. He looks like he should do that.
Sweet.
That's pretty good. A Siamese cat,
exactly.
just petting it. So, how do y'all feel now? I mean, we talked about it the first part of the show. Obviously, you're feeling good going into this event, but now knowing that it's a #1 contenders match and that you have that opportunity, the carrot is being dangled in front of you, if you will. Does that give you an extra added motivation to go in there and kick ass, or?
Oh, I mean, yeah, 100%. You know, the dream is that. Look, here's the deal. The dream is we know because we've watched Christian run this league. He's going to have team action be team action for as long as it serves the Schmoedown. And we're going to do our thing as a duo, no third member, no manager, no other nonsense until we win a belt. And we need to win that belt. So this is this is the path back to victory. We're going to get that belt. And
just wipe that shit-eating grin off your face.
Yeah, I see that. Because the thing is, we know that eventually he's going to want to add somebody, or he's going to want to have a manager,
or we're going to break up, or
turn one of us face or something like that. And we just need to win a title first. This team, because I feel we really have brought a lot to Schmoedown, and I think like we've done a good job this last year. I think the league is better. But we need to win a belt. Like it's part of the story. It's part of season 4 and season 5. Are we in season 6 now? Season 5 now. 6.
5.
Yeah, we're in 5.
And for the Action Army and all those amazing fans out there.
It's important. We need to do it. And so this is our best shot. We know we can beat the Shirewolves. They are beatable for us, absolutely. And then we got to just climb that mountain again, and we got to just go in there and push Sam Levine off the stage.
And we know we can beat Sam, and we know we can beat Drew, and we know we can beat Jeff, we know we can beat JTE. It's about the day. It's about when the match happens. What is interesting, though, is that Ben and I have been dying to take those belts from the Patriots for so long, and now they don't have them anymore. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're going to win that Iron Man match against ATL.
Really?
I don't think they are. I think
it's not their game as much.
It's not their game as much. I think that McQueenie's a robot. I don't think he's actually a human being. And I want the belts from the Patriots, but I'll take them from either of them, and we're going to.
Well, there you have it right there. Now, before we get y'all to go here, I do want to get your quick thoughts on the Friday match, Josh McCouga, Stacey Howard. What did y'all think? Just give me your overall. We're not going to do it round by round, but more of an overall take on that match.
Did she win with like 12 points or something?
It was 12-10 was the final score. Yeah.
I got a few thoughts. I think I like Stacey a lot. She's a friend. I think that playing RB3 and McCouga when you're 2-1 is silly.
It's not silly. It's a joke. The fact that she's 4-1 right now, and I mean, someone even wrote, and it's not a ridiculous question. Is this a #1 contenders match for her? Because honestly, if you played 5 matches and you won 4 of them, you should be at about that level.
And I get it. Like, you know, if you play easier competition, then you're less likely to get a title shot. And also you risk if you lose to one of those people, then it looks really bad for you. You drop below the standings. So there's that. For me, the big takeaway from the match was it's clear when Makuga plays now, he really, really likes the showmanship. He's not really a guy that's there to compete for a title, so that's fine. He does his thing.
Yeah, and like watching Emma pacify him is a little interesting for sure.
Yeah, and then I think the other part that's interesting to me is that I think dance movies is the worst category in the history of Schmoedown.
Especially because Stacy puts that as her strength, and she misses 2 steals, and one of those steals, Ben and I are just like, step up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that the problem with it is that if you think about the toughest categories, right, like scores and soundtracks, movie release dates, classics, these are all categories that serve a purpose, right? There is archival knowledge to understanding movie release dates that helps you guess other questions.
But it's like knowing the character names of the people in Step Up is kind of absurd.
They're bad movies that don't transcend generationally. So why would you need to study the category? They're like, it's kind of like horror thriller. It should be musicals, dance movies, because there's like 12 that are good. There's music in all of them. They're all kind of musicals anyway. Like,
also that drama question for Greatest Showman should have been either under new releases or musicals. I mean, it didn't really matter because of the question, but I just think that being a drama question when the movie's only been out for 4 months is a little bit.
I think it's kind of a hard round one question for most people. If you haven't seen that movie, you're not going to remember.
Right. You've only had 4 months to see it. You've only had 2 months to see it at home.
She's like not a name anyone knows yet. She's been in like 2 movies that everyone cares about.
Yeah. It's impossible, but
life, obviously, but that's it.
Yeah,
those 2.
But yeah, I mean, the match was fine. I just want. I mean, who's she gonna play next?
I know.
Well, she floated Rachel Cushing because she lost to her in the tournament, so she wants to avenge that loss. We'll see.
2 points in that match.
It was bad, guys. It was bad.
Three.
It was pretty bad.
Three.
It was sad.
It was pretty bad. She got KO'd, and I mean, Rachel, I think, went perfect in that match. So.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the. I mean, that was one of the matches. Regardless of anything that happens, you just kind of watching as a friend and as a fan, you're just like, Stacey had a bad day. I don't want to be up there. I've seen Stacey like some of Stacey's polls today in round 1 were solid. Oh, yeah. She knows her stuff. It's just I think 4-1 is not reflective of where she's at in the standings. Yeah, she's probably ranked as like 4-1 in singles is really hard to do. You know, I mean, she beat Ellis and she beat somebody else good, right? I mean, like
Ellis is the most notable
win match. It's like,
yeah,
I think either of those guys would have beaten her in that, and that was their first or second match ever was against. You know. So anyway, that's our point. It's no slight on Stacey. She's a great player. We love her personality. We love what she brings to the league. And hey, man, she's got a better record than both of us. Yeah. So guys, I see my battery here is dangerously close to dying. So
well, we're about to wrap it up anyway. Andrew Ghai, Ben Bateman, any parting words before we get you out of here?
Yeah, where's the fucking belts?
Yeah, where's the fucking belts? And also, Frankie Numbers, give me some goddamn respect, okay, man? We're
you got it.
We're the 3rd best team in the league. I've had a couple bad rounds, but we're headlining the live event.
I don't know if you guys got some static right there. I heard it break up. He said we're the best team in the league, so I don't know what did you just say?
I said we're the best fucking team in the league. I don't know what's going on with these microphones. Yeah. It's
okay. I was under impression the belts gave that indication, but you know what you say could be true as well. So sure.
I think you need to shut your mouth, Janisch. Listen, Francis.
Well, Andrew, Ben, thanks so much for joining us. This has been great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for having us. We had a great time.
Hey, big shout out to Andrew Ghai and Ben Bateman for making the time for us and, giving Frank and Chris a little crap is okay by me. I don't ever mind it. And but before we move any further, Frank, I know that you actually wanted to. We asked for some headlines, if you will, and not the Jay Leno style. This is a different style of headline. And Frank, why don't you read a couple of those headlines that we got sent over to us?
Yeah, so I tweeted up on Schmoedown RD, and I also posted in the Facebook group. I'm going to pull a majority of these from the Facebook group because that's where I got the majority of the responses. Just a headline from what happened here between Action and DC Movie News. We're going to go with Thomas Scully. He writes, Action, the best tacticians, KO goes solo. And then David Morris, he says, warning, lack of sunglasses indoors can lead to unexpected meltdowns. Let's take a look at another one here. Mark Gavagillo says, Adam Gertler shaved and started crying, both equally unsettling. And then we got Brooklyn Vale says, Wonder Bread left with salty taste as Team Action savors the moment. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then we got, Ryan Nem says, either you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. So on the nose right there. We got Eric Grebner. He says, the league becomes accurate representation of the DCEU. Ouch. That's
Ohio, that's the winner right there.
And then let's see. Let me try to find one more in here. Let me see here. No, let me see. Blah blah blah. Let's go with. You know what? Actually, I think there was. Yeah, I think KO aces Bond, but ends up shaken and stirred.
Oh, no.
That's from Michael
I take it
Trump.
back.
No relation, I hope. Anyways, okay.
Hey, we don't discriminate. Even if he's a fan, I love him.
Yeah. And
that's
if he is,
actually the best
throw me
one.
some gold silverware. That'd be nice. Okay.
Yeah, just steal some from Uncle Donnie
just-
there. Anyway, well, okay, thank you for sending in your headlines. We're going to do this probably on a weekly basis, I would think. Maybe Frank Janisch. So
Yeah, I think when it calls for it, when the match
calls
is
for it.
ripe for it, yeah.
when it feels right. So make sure you pay attention to Schmoedown RD on Twitter, or if you're in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook group, which if you're not, you need to get over there. I don't think that you are not if you're watching the show, but if you are not, make sure you go over there and join the group. Let's talk about Mike Kalinowski, though. You talk about him being shaken and stirred. I go back to that triple threat match, JT, Rachel Cushing, Mike Kalinowski, where he completely crapped the bed. And he was not the Mike Kalinowski we thought that he would be. I think that this really started there. I know some people say they've seen it coming for a long time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think that was the moment it started. And we saw Breanne Chandler actually do the post-match interview for Mike Kalinowski there. He actually had to leave the building. And I think that's where
true.
it first started brewing in the mind of Mike Kalinowski. And this match just sent him over the top. You almost saw it in the pre-match interviews a little bit. Like there was a little tease toward it. And I think that was just an Easter egg to if it did go that way and they did lose, we would have that to kind of look at. But what do you think about Mike overall, Mike Kalinowski, as a heel turning on DC Movie News? Well,
you're right to point out that there's been hashtag Heel Watch made famous by All the Belts podcast with Aaliyah and Dan.
Yes.
It was a great segment they had on their show. And I know that everyone was hitting them up after this match. Heel Watch, hashtag Heel Watch, and it finally came true. It was great. Yeah, and like there were moments here and there that you could point towards and say, well, that's a little bit of a heelish, not so much of a face guy. And then you're right, beginning of this year, the triple threat, him not even sticking around for the post-match interview, completely out of his character up until that point. And I think you're right, that's when the mentality started to change, it started to flip, and he started recognizing and really taking note of people weren't there for him that he thought were there for him. And he's pointing towards Roxy and Johnny and Adam, and they weren't there to support him. And he had his match again against Clark Wolf, the number one contenders match not too long ago. None of them were there. He noticed that, and that I think really stuck with him. And then you get the pre-match interview stuff, and Johnny and Adam are there. And by the way, Johnny is so damn good on the mic. Oh my God! I mean. Ken Knapsack gave one of the greatest post-match speeches ever last week, but Johnny, I mean, if he was on the mic more in the Schmoedown, I mean, he might give Ken Knapsack a run for his money. That's for damn sure. But and then Roxy comes into that interview a little late. He's surprised, like, oh yeah, you're here. So the wheels are turning and everything's set in motion. The match goes the way that it goes, and he goes nuclear on them. And I wasn't sure if it was going to happen here and now, because they had a good match. They had a good run in that match. Now, Adam Gertler didn't have the greatest match, but, they went down to the last question. I thought maybe that's some saving face there, some sort of saving grace, rather, and the whole league's back together, and they're really in this together, and it wasn't enough for Mike. It was too little too late for Mike Kalinowski, and he had enough, and when he told Adam Gertler to shut his mouth, whoa. Dude, I almost cried for Adam Gertler because I know he cried. I mean, I was like, what is going on? I mean, and then he goes off.
Yeah, he went off, and then we even saw in a post-match stinger, if you will, or post-credit scene, we saw a more heated exchange between Johnny LaQuasto and Mike Kalinowski. I've known Johnny LaQuaso for several years now, at least 5 or 6 years, and I've never seen him shaken up like that. He was pretty shaken up by what Mike Kalinowski did. And you know what? I actually want to take this time. I reached out to Johnny, and he was kind enough to supply us with a clip from his show where they covered the DC movie news universe. And we're actually going to play that clip right now. This is Johnny LaQuasto's reaction to Mike Kalinowski's change in behavior.
Adam, we should address this. The Ultimate Schmoedown.
I'm surprised Mike didn't show up today. Not.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So the Ultimate Schmoedown this past week, if you haven't seen the episode yet, earmuff this, but it's been out for 2 days. A lot of you maybe have seen it. We took on Team Action, and it was down to the wire. Some are calling it one of the greatest overall episodes in the history of the Schmoedown, which we're honored by that. It didn't go our way, and Mike, I don't know, he kind of lost it afterwards.
Yeah, I feel really bad about what happened. Like, obviously, Mike Kalinowski is a stronger Schmoedown player than I am. That's why we're a team.
Right.
I'm happy to do it. I was happy to do it. We both spaced an Alan Rickman, and Mike had an unbelievable round of James Bond where it was lights out, and I don't think he could see loss after that. And I think sometimes when a guy is really, really nice, when their temper goes, it comes out in a really bad way. I'm like that myself, whereas I come off as a kind of nice guy, well-adjusted, and then people who really know me, when the temper goes, it's ugly. And I think it was a little of that. Either way, not upset he's not here.
Yeah, we don't know where he is. I tried to reach out to him. He has not gotten back to me. So as far as our fate in the Schmoedown, I can't tell you. It's all disappointing, and especially because we lost to Team Action, and I told them ahead of time we were going to dissect them, and just their entire anatomy was going to get destroyed by us, and it didn't quite happen. So, but thank you for watching, and thanks for your support. We don't know what the future has in store for DC Movie News as a team and as a family.
Well, there you have it, Frank. And I know it's hard for DC and for Johnny and all the guys there, but we even saw going forward Mike Kalinowski and Brienne get into it in the pre-match scene from the Friday match, and it just seems like Mike Kalinowski is now in a dark place. And the question is, where does he go from here?
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know where he's going to go. It seems like he's going to do some sort of soul searching and trying to figure out who his real friends are and real people he can count on. I don't know who that is. I know a lot of people are floating the Four Horsemen because Rocha has been teasing that's going to become a thing again, or the Horsemen, not necessarily Four Horsemen. He teased it could be more than 4 when he was on the Rundown and other various places. So it could be more than 4. Could Kalinowski find himself over there? I don't know. But the exchange between him and Brienne, again, this guy is just pissed off at everyone he thought was in his corner, and I think what he's doing is he's having his friends or his former friends, whatever you want to call them now, he's forcing them to look inward and look at themselves, saying, what did we do? I mean, he's passing the blame, I guess, kind of on these people. Or his former friends, but is this too extreme for Kalinowski? Is this really who he is now? I mean, I think there's more to come with this, and I think in the coming weeks, and who knows what happens at the live event. I don't know. Christian's been teasing something's going to go down. Is it with Kalinowski? Is it something else? Is it something brand new? Who knows? So in the coming weeks, it's going to be very interesting to see how this Kalinowski heel turn develops.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know where he goes from here, but you know what? It kind of, for me, makes him a little bit more interesting. I mean, I'm a little bit more interested in what's going on with Mike Kalinowski. So that if that was the purpose for doing this, it's working. Why don't we go? Go ahead.
Kayfabe side stuff, real quick. Kayfabe side stuff aside, Kalinowski completely sells this to me. I mean, he is a fantastic actor in these scenes.
He's a great actor, but this might be halfway coming from a legitimate place. You never know.
Based in reality, let's turn it into some of the fiction. Sure, I don't know.
Hey, the truth is stranger than friction.
But I think everyone's still
fiction.
I think everyone's still friends. So I think I've seen some comments. on that DC Movie News episode, they're like, "Did Mike really flip?" They're like, "No, it's just for show. So have no fear. No one's like splitting up. No one's hating on each other. It's all for the show. Just in case you were wondering or you weren't aware of what was going on. But yeah, just know everyone's all good. But for the show purpose, this is phenomenal."
Oh, I love it. But let's talk about the Friday match here. We touched on it briefly with Team Action.
Yeah.
Give me your overall thoughts. Stacey Howard versus the Wild Man, the captain of the Wild Berries, Josh McCougar.
Yeah. Again, I want to know where we get those shirts. But Stacey Howard playing Josh McCougar, he's ranked number 10. Stacey Howard's ranked 6. I was kind of hoping she'd play someone a little higher ranked, maybe like Alon Harris. I know he just had a match, though, against Ethan Irwin, so it would have been a good bounce back match actually for Harris, I think. Maybe it's a little too close together. I don't know. But she plays Josh McCougar, who can have phenomenal matches. We saw what he did against Scarpino. He missed like one question. It's one of the best matches he's ever had. It's one of the best performances we've seen in the Schmoedown in its entirety. So he can have these huge breakout matches. It didn't happen here. He got off. I mean, they got. This match wasn't the greatest, and statistically speaking, it's the least accurate match this season. So they combined to answer just 51, almost 52% of their questions. So not a lot of knowledge going on here, but it was very competitive in that second round. Very interesting. I mean, dance category. I mean, Ben talks about dance, and Stacey, she had directors, and she only got 2 of those, and very, very interesting match that could have went either way, really.
So a few years back, I think it was 2016, maybe February 2016, I went to go watch Bellator, which is an MMA company. They were in Houston, Texas, and they had a big main event of Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock. On the undercard, there was Dada 5000 versus Kimbo Slice. These two guys were street fighters, and they're not really mixed martial artists. And it was one of the worst fought fights I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these two guys were gassed to the gills in the first round. I mean, they could not, they had no energy. And actually, the match ended because Dada 5000 couldn't support his own weight anymore. No one knocked him out. He just fell, and he actually technically died that night. They had to revive him at the hospital. But my point of it was, although technically it was terrible and there was no artistship to it, right? Mm-hmm. It was super entertaining. I was watching it, and I was entertained so much, and I'm invested because I'm like, there's no way something is this terrible, technically speaking, but still so entertaining. And I'm not saying that this was to this degree, but they weren't technically sound in this match. He didn't die. He didn't fall over and die because he couldn't support his own weight. But technically speaking, it wasn't the best competitive match in that regards. And they're hitting every question. Oh my God, who's going to miss first? It was kind of like a slow bicycle race almost, and I'm not saying it in a bad thing. Anytime I've said it before, anytime Josh McCougar's on my screen, I'm a happy guy. Exactly. And is Stacey Howard, I love when she gets into those characters. Like she was clueless this time around. There was a lot of things to like about this match. My main takeaway, though, from it was not only how does Josh McCougar not know Stomp the Yard, because, come on now, Columbus Short, Chris Brown, what? Megan Good? Brother.
Oh, Megan Good.
Brother, how do you not know Megan Good, brother?
Yeah, that's true.
Not only that, though, but the director's category I found to be kind of difficult. There was a lot of, I thought, deep cuts. Even that Tom Hanks question, I did not know.
That's an interesting one.
I did not know.
Yeah.
And I thought that might have just been from, we've seen directors picked a lot, and now we're really in the thick of it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that Tom Hanks one. I was like, I guess Robert Zemeckis, but... And that was before she went to multiple choice, and then obviously it wasn't. But, I think some of those questions were a little difficult, sure. But, I mean, you're right. When if it's not a highly accurate match, I mean, Josh McCougar, He knows how to run his mouth, and it's very highly entertaining.
Yes.
And you had Emma Fife just trying to like swat him down, just like to kind of like
Josh.
rein in what was happening, which is an interesting thing to watch. I love watching their back and forth, and it's a very playful combativeness between them when she's trying to rein things in, you know. And because if you let Makuga go, he will.
He's
go.
going.
He's gonna go. So you gotta kind of rein him in, but how about his post-match interview? His post-match interview with Jen Sturger might be one of the all-time post-match interviews we've seen for a variety of reasons, because I don't think anyone has ever brought out a damn podium and drink Chardonnay. And he got Jen Sturger to scream wild berries numerous times into the microphone. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the post-match something the post-match interview was something to behold, and if you didn't give yourself the privilege of viewing that post-match, because I know some people like to stop them right after the match is over. If you didn't watch that, go back and relive it, and then maybe even if your YouTube has like a setting where you can do half speed, watch it at half speed, and then watch it. Just watch it in variety of ways that you can, because it was that good. Well, Frank, I really though don't have much more on that. Great win for Stacey Howard. Josh Makuga now falls below 500, which it's fine. Andrew Ghai kind of pointed out, we're here to see a show. We're not here to see, like I said, a perfect, a masterpiece in movie trivia. We're here to see a nice performance. Sometimes it's Evel Knievel. Sometimes you want to see him make the jump. Sometimes you want to see him crash and burn. And that's what we love about Josh Makuga.
Yeah, that's a good. I think he did both.
I think he did a little bit of both, and I enjoyed it. So if you don't have anything else on that match, Frank Janisch, I think we need to put a bow on this bad boy, because Team action was phenomenal. Make sure y'all check it out. If you're going to some of the privileged few who are going to be at the El Portal Theater, you're going to have an amazing time. There's all kinds of teases that something monumental that's going to change the Movie Trivia Schmoedown as we know it is going to go down at this live event. You do not want to miss out. You don't want to get shut out, because it's going to be on like a steaming pot of neck bones. Frank Janisch, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I have something in my eye, and it's killing me. Oh my god. But you could also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RankyJ29. If you want more stats about Schmoedown matches and whatnot, follow SD Rundown Stats on Twitter. And I'm going to get some eye drops. Yeah.
You go ahead and do that. My man, Chris Clark, give me your name, give me your numbers, and tell people where they can find you.
I'm Chris Clark. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can find me on YouTube at Take 3 Productions, where I host a podcast, Suddenly Soundtracks, where we go through a movie musical song by song and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides.
Well, that is all well and good, Chris Clark, and we're going to do that episode of Walk the Line here someday. We're not just going to talk about it. Also, you can find me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. Make sure you check out my and Booker T interview with Shaquille O'Neal, the Diesel. Right now, I'm going to go watch every Shaq movie after
Aristotle, the big Aristotle.
I'm going to watch Steel. I'm going to watch Kazam. I'm going to watch whatever else I can find. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the coolest guys ever. So make sure y'all check out that interview and follow us at Schmoedown RD or The Schmoedown on Twitter, and also follow us at Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram. For Frank Janisch and Chris Clark, I am Brad Gilmore, and we will see you next week.
I think my dog just took a crap because I can smell it. Oh boy.